All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is April 18th. We got a jam-packed slate of MLB games today, like we always do. We're gonna jump into each and every game. I'll give you my lean or leans on the game. We'll talk about it, but all my final plays, and I tell you guys in every video, all my final plays, what I'm actually going to be rolling with, what I'm most comfortable and confident in, and what counts towards my record, all those plays will be in the pinned comment, and I update that throughout the day. If you don't see one right now, you might just be very early on the video, which I appreciate that. Hit the like button and let me know. But also, guys, yeah, we those pinned comment plays will come out always before game time. This is what we're looking at from yesterday. Had a very good winning, positive, positive night, and we're on fire in the MLB to start the year. So we had a couple pushes / postpones. We had the Rays and the Reds over 9. That game finished at 9 runs. Not the way that I thought it would. The Rays got blown out, but anyways, that is a push. And then we had the Phillies and the White Sox. That game gets postponed, and now this is where we start our actual action on the day. We go 4-1. Obviously, we had the push, so we go 4-1-1. But in terms of games that actually counted here, we had 4-1. We had the Diamondbacks money line for plus 145. Cash it. Then we had the under in that game. That did not come through. Kind of prevented the sweep there. Then we had the Astros money line for plus money. Cash that. And then two heavy favorites here. Braves money line and Cubs money line. Cashing that, guys. A very, very positive day. Very excited to jump into today's slate. Let's go ahead and do it. But before we do it, you know you guys got to hit that subscribe button. You got to hit that like button. You guys have been running up the likes as of late. If you don't hit that like button, you might not have the best of luck with your picks today. So hit that like button for good luck, or act like it's your biggest enemy and just pummel it. All right, hit that like button. Let's jump into the first game. We have the Tigers taking on the Guardians. Now these guys are in a doubleheader today, which I believe is the first time we've seen this season, if I'm not mistaken. But the Tigers in this one, plus 120 on the money line. Total is sitting at 8.5 runs. In terms of the last few games for the Guardians here, they've been a little wonky to me. Like, they've had to battle. They did take 2 of 3 against Washington, but they've really had to kind of battle up and down here. And then Detroit's on a little bit of a win streak. They captured the last game against Toronto, and then 2 games straight against San Francisco. They beat them 75 and 7-6. That being said, I do think that this is a spot for the Guardians today. And spoiler alert, I think it's the same thing with the second half of this doubleheader as well. But for this game one, Boyd is on the mound for the Tigers. Guardians have Gaddis on the mound, and kind of what I talked about yesterday, all those same applications apply to this game. So I am gonna lean Guardians here. They're only minus 120, which I do not mind on the money line. And then in terms of a total, it's sitting at 8.5 right now. I really don't think that this is gonna be that high scoring of a game, but I think it's gonna go over 8.5. So I can kind of tell by my words there what my true, I guess, confidence in this is. I think this one would be like a 9-10 total type game, which is very close to that line. All right, moving on, we got the White Sox taking on the Phillies. Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies is 0-1 in the season with a 4.02 ERA. Lance Lynn on the mound for the White Sox here. He is 0-1 with a 7.31 ERA. These guys also play later on in the day, so a couple postponed games turned into double headers today. This Phillies team, like we talked about the roller coaster they had in that Cincinnati series, and kind of the same things that I said about yesterday in the series too. I don't think much has changed, being the game one of this series, but this White Sox team is very, very volatile. I don't like looking at them unless Cee's on the mound, so I am going to lean towards the Phillies here, minus 120. The total right now is sitting at 8 runs, and I really do not hate the over. I think this one can get way up there to, like, type of 7-5 type ball game. So I am going to lean Phillies money line and then the over in this one as well. All right, and then we have the second part of that, Tigers taking on the Guardians here. We got Rodriguez on the mound for the Tigers. He's 0-2 on the season with a 4.5 ERA. Battenfield on the mound for the Guardians. He's no decisions yet, but a 1.93 ERA. Same things apply, guys. Like I said, I do still think the Guardians take this one. Now, the only issue is, especially when you're I guess, looking at games like this, it's like, well, I'm not going to take the Guardians in both games, am I? Yeah, I probably won't. Now, they are playing the Tigers, who I know they're winning baseball games right now, but I don't think the Tigers are all that good, so I could consider taking Cleveland money line both times here, but honestly, I'm probably going to just dive into which one I like the most, and I probably would say If I were to take either side of this, I probably would look at, I guess, the first game. You know, they're probably going to come out a little more fired up and eager, and then by the time you get to the second game, there could be some feet dragging. So I'm going to lean away from this game in terms of taking Cleveland money line. I'll probably look at the first game, but in terms of a total here as well, we're still looking at the exact same total. I've seen 8 on some sports books for the second game, which is a little interesting to me that, you know, 2 of the same teams are playing within hours of each other type of thing. But I do nonetheless lean towards the over again here, but not all that much. All right, we got the Marlins taking on the Giants here. Marlins at home plus 105 underdogs here. Total is sitting at 8 runs. I think this is a very good spot for to look at a little in-betweener here in terms of taking a money line play as well as a run line play. I really don't hate taking San Francisco money line, taking the over, and then also Miami run line. Whether or not we pull the trigger on all 3 of those, I'm not too sure, but I do think Alex Wood on the mound for the Giants. I like to see that. Cabrera on the mound for the Marlins isn't bad, but I think this is a game in which the Giants probably win this game, but maybe win it by 1 run. So if you can squeeze in some Miami run line for decent odds, I'm not telling you guys to pay, you know, minus 150 and beyond, but if you can get it minus 145, that type of thing, it might be a little good place to take a little bit of a tweener. And like I said, very slight lean towards the over as well. All right, moving on, we got the Reds taking on the Rays. This game went absolutely not like I pictured yesterday. The Reds win the game 8-1, which is actually like jaw-dropping to me, but I don't know, maybe the Cincinnati team is, at times, this Cincinnati is either going to be like a runaway game, a runaway win, or they're left in the dust and absolutely scoring like 2 runs while the opposing team scores 13. It's absolutely crazy. But seeing as they did take the win yesterday, I'm just going to kind of trust the pattern here and think that the the Rays bounce back today. Lodolo on the mound for the Reds. He is 2-0 on the season with a 2.12 ERA. I feel like that is worth mentioning. Bradley on the mound for the Rays. Not the, you know, nothing absolutely absurd to note there. He's 1-0 in the season with 5.4 ERA. But like I said, I don't think this Reds team has shown me that they can string it together for 2 games, 2 in a row yet. So I'm going to lean towards the Rays here. Minus 117 odds on the money line. Don't hate that whatsoever. We're looking at a total of 9 runs here. And something tells me this one goes over again, or, you know, goes over 9. Yesterday it did land on 9 runs, but that was with Cincinnati scoring 8. If the Reds even scored 1 more run, this wasn't over that we were able to cash and go 5-1 yesterday versus 4-1-1. But I will say that this is probably a slight spot. If someone's in the comments being like, I don't think this goes over, it's probably a 8-9 run game like it has been for them, then I wouldn't argue you. I just do think this gets to 10 runs today personally. Yankees hosting the Angels here. Yankees at home, minus 145 on the money line. We're looking at a total of 9 runs. Clark Schmidt on the mound for the Yankees, got an 8.44 ERA this season. Suarez on the mound for the Angels, got 10.8 ERA on the season. That is a fairly high total for this game. I am going to take a peek at the under, but I do think that both these pitchers can get batted around, so I'm a little weary to take the under, but that is my lean on the total. And then in terms of a money line play here, I do think that this is a Yankees ball game, but I don't know if they win by 2 or more runs. So this might be another opportunity for, you know, a Yankees money line lean, but also LA Angels plus 1.5 for decent odds, minus 150. I mean, I wouldn't go any further than that, but I do think that this is a Yankees win type game, but I could see it being like, you know, 4-3 or 5-4 or something like that. All right, Nationals taking on the Orioles here. Nationals plus 130 at home, total at 9 runs right now. In their last series here, Baltimore takes 2 of 3 against the White Sox. But like I said, I'm not putting much weight into what I've seen from the White Sox as of late. Washington has lost 1 million games in a row, and then all of a sudden they get a win yesterday, or was that 2 days ago, I believe, against Cleveland. Because Cleveland's game was against the Tigers and it got postponed. So this was 2 days ago. I think the last game of the Cleveland series, Washington actually looked pretty good. They win that game 7-6. Cleveland did start Bieber too, so it's kind of shocking to see Washington come through. That being said, I don't think the money is totally there. If this were to be a Washington lean at home for me, I would be looking for more money here. Only plus 130 isn't exactly tickling my fancy there, so I'm going to lean towards the Orioles here money line. In terms of a total 9 runs, I think this one gets probably closer to 10 runs, 10-11 runs, so I'm going to lean towards the over. All right, now we have the Red Sox taking on the Twins here. Red Sox 8-9 on the season. Chris Sale is on the mound. He's 1-1 with an 11.25 ERA. Twins trotting out Sonny Gray, who is 2-0 on the season with a 0.53 ERA. Very, very impressive there. In terms of money here, Red Sox at home, they are even money if you're looking to take them on the money line. Total again at 9 runs. Minnesota loses their last 2 games against New York, and they scored a combined 1 run in those last 2 games. At least Boston has looked like, and they played against the Angels, Tampa Bay, Detroit, like a very different breadth of types of teams that they've played, and they're playing close games with one another, it seems, no matter who they are playing. So I would never take run line against this Red Sox team, but Minnesota on the money line probably is my lean here. I'm a Red Sox fan, a Celtics fan, Bruins fan, Patriots, Boston fan, so it's hard for me to lean away from the Red Sox, but I haven't been impressed or thrilled with them this season. Now, again, I don't think that this is probably going to be a close game either way, so I don't mind Red Sox money run line, but it's going to pay some terrible odds. But I do think, the Red Sox, whether they lose or win, have been fairly close games, but I do lean in terms of money line Minnesota. And then in terms of a total, I actually like the under in this game as well. I know we have Sale on the mound, who's been letting up, tons of runs, and then even, Sonny Gray should even that out, so we're back to like a square one type scenario. I just do like the under. I think this one probably is around, 3-2, 5-3, that type of thing, not 10 runs. All right, second game for the White Sox and the Phillies here. Kind of same things apply there, guys. Honestly, I would still say all the same stuff about the two teams, but I might look at the first game instead of this game. So I don't know. And let me know in the comments if you guys agree with that, if you disagree, if you like the second half in terms of betting. I just truly think that you're going to get the most natural game of two teams in that first game of a doubleheader before they see each other twice, if that makes sense. So all the same rules apply, and I'll make sure if these become pinned comments, I'll call out game 1 or game 2. All right, Kansas City taking on Texas here. Kansas City plus 111 here, plus 114 money line actually at home. Total is at 9 runs right now. This Rangers team has Nathan Eovaldi on the mound, who isn't having the best of year. 1-2 with a 6.3 ERA. Brad Keller on the mound for the Royals, 2-1 on the season with a 2.12 ERA. I honestly didn't know before researching this game that his ERA was that low, so respect there to Keller. Texas is coming off 2 straight wins. Obviously, game 3 again, I think it was game 3 or 4, the last game of the series against Houston, and then yesterday's game against the Royals, in which they won 4-0 here. I do think that this is obviously a Texas spot. I wouldn't bet against the Rangers as of right now. Not that they're just beating everyone in their sights, but the way that they're beating, all of a sudden they'll go out there and beat Astros 9-1. Do you know what I mean? Like they are kind of firing right now, and if their bats get hot, they can drop 9 runs on you. So I'm going to lean towards Texas. I think you're getting pretty good odds here. Minus 121 against the Royals team, which I don't really trust and don't really like and wouldn't back. Then in terms of a total 9 runs, I think this one stays under because I don't think the Royals are going to carry their own weight there. All right, we have the Cardinals taking on the Diamondbacks. We cashed in on this one yesterday. Plus 145. Diamondbacks take the outright win as a underdog here. In this one, though, the Cardinals are minus 165 favorites at home on the money line. The total is at 8 runs right now. Again, yesterday's game went over that line at 8. We had it at 8.5. And we had the under and did not hit. But I do think that St. Louis probably bounces back in this one. I will say the only thing that's keeping me away from taking them is the minus 161 money line here. I don't think that they lose 2 to the Cardinals, especially the first 2 to the Cardinals. So I am going to lean towards St. Louis money line. I don't think it becomes a final play because of the odds. What I don't necessarily hate is Arizona plus 1.5. I think this game will stay close regardless. But plus 1.5 on the run line for only minus 140. I could consider that, but to be honest, it's a very tough spot for me, kind of a sticky spot for me in terms of either run line or money line or side here, so probably stick away from it a little bit. In terms of the total, we're looking at 8.5 again. I think this is one that goes over, 8. I think this one that goes over. I got caught with the under yesterday, didn't love that. I think there's going to be more runs scored today, so I'm leaning towards the over. All right, the Astros are taking on the Blue Jays here. Astros 8-9 in the season. Blue Jays have a positive record. They're 10-7 in this one. Yesterday, we were on the right side of this one. We took Houston money line for plus 108, plus money odds, and they win 9-2. Do they do the same thing today? They are now favorites here. They're minus 112 at home. Total is at 9 runs, and I'm going to go towards and lean towards them. Again, you got Acurity on the mound for the Astros. He's 1-0 in the season, 2.35 ERA, going up against Chris Bassett, who is 1-2 1-2 with a 7.63 ERA. In terms of this season, I do think obviously the Astros have the edge there, and I think that the Astros bats could be starting to get hot. So I'm going to lean Astros here money line. In terms of a total 9 runs, I'm going to look slightly at the over. All right, Colorado is taking on the Pirates here. The Rockies are even odds here at home. Total is at 12.5 runs. I told you guys yesterday, I did not pull the trigger on it, but I told you yesterday, I said with the wind and the thin air, the altitude, this is an over type game. A couple of you guys in the comments were being like, that's not a good pick, whatever, it's 11.5. They ended up scoring 17 runs in that game. Now, Colorado only scored 3. Let's be absolutely clear. Pittsburgh came out there and walloped them. But I will say, that's why this total is all the way up at 12.5 now today. And I was about to say, I will say, guys, I will say 12.5 is now again, the highest total we've seen all season. You're gonna have to prove it to me before I pull the trigger on that. So I'm gonna lean towards the under. I'm not making that a final play. If it goes over, woohoo. If it doesn't, we'll see. But yeah, maybe I will make it a final play. Who knows? I'm in control here. I'm in the driver's seat. But either way, I do lean Pittsburgh money line in this one. I think that they showed yesterday that they can get real hot. Minus 112 most money lines here from 2. So decent odds there. And then, like I said, I'm leaning towards the under. All right, the Padres taking on the Braves. Strider on the mound for the Braves. He's 1-0 with a 3.38 ERA. Blake Snell on the mound for the Padres. 0-2 with a 6.92 ERA. Not very, not what you'd necessarily like to see. The Braves here have won 7 straight games, taking yesterday's game 2-0 to San Diego. We're on the right side of that one. I honestly leaning Braves again. This Braves team is a wagon right now in terms of money line. We've been cashing with them, so I'm going to ride that until the wheels fall off. I like Blake Snell, and I do think this Padres offense can actually get it going at times too, but I'm fine with taking Strider and the Braves here on the road for minus 130-ish odds on the money line, so I'm going to lean that direction. In terms of a total, 7.5 seems super low, but I think there's a reason for that, so I'm going to lean towards the under there as well in this game. 7.5, again, very low, but I do think that is that's there for a reason. All right, last few games here, guys. We got the Mariners taking on the Brew Crew. Mariners 8-9 on the season. They're minus 150 at home on the money line. The Brewers here 12-5 in the season with Rhea coming out pitching for them. 1.59 ERA going up against Logan Gilbert with a 2.7 ERA. I do immediately like, just because of pitching, like the under in this game. Now I will say both these offenses, Milwaukee in particular, can probably put up 8 runs if they wanted to themselves, but I am going to lean towards the under and trust the defense and the pitching here. And then I think that there's some good value taking Milwaukee money line here as well. Obviously they won yesterday, and they've won, I think, they were favorites yesterday, but 2 of their last 3 wins, or 3 of their last 4 wins, or something like that, they've been plus 130, plus 140. So this team, plays well as an underdog, and no one really thinks they're gonna get it done. They get it done. So I'm gonna lean the Brewers and the under. All right, we got the Athletics taking on the Cubs here. The A's are plus 155 at home. Total is sitting at 7.5. I don't think there's any reason to trust this Athletics team or bet on them, so I'm gonna lean towards Cubs, especially with Stroman on the mound. They are minus 168 on the money line, which I don't totally love, so I might take a peek at run line or involve them in some sort of a parlay or something like that, but I'm gonna lean towards the Cubs, and I'm also gonna take a peek at the over. I think a lot of people are gonna be on the under in this game because no one thinks the A's can score, but I do think the Cubs can put up 6 runs, and then, hey, the A's can go out there and score, 3 runs, right, or 2 runs even, and that would cash it. So I do like the over and the Cubs here. And then our last game of the slate, we have the Dodgers taking on the Mets here. Dodgers minus 150 at home. Total is at 8 runs right now. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers. Mego on the mound for the Mets. I think that this is a Dodgers spot. They've been kind of surprising. They're now below 500, 8-9 on the season, which is kind of crazy after catching the loss. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Game 1 of the series here. I think it was yesterday against the Mets. So I do think they bounce back in a good way. Kershaw on the mound, I don't mind that whatsoever. So we're going to lean towards the Dodgers. In terms of the total 8 runs, I think this one gets into the double digits, so I am going to lean towards the over. And that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys do enjoy the video. If you do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you check out the NBA playoffs video as well. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.